Yo. What's up? What's up? Welcome back, my brothers. Hey, we missing one guy. He's on the road. He's in Mexico. I think he's celebrating Cinco de Mayo a little early. So our man Rod, he might pop in the show. We're trying to see if we get his Wi-Fi, but I don't know how the Mexican Wi-Fi works out for him. So he's trying to. But welcome, brothers. How you doing, man? How's your week? Man, how's your week, Derek?
Hey, man. My week is great, man. What can I say? I'm living the life, man. My kids made cookies for me, man. Look at that, man. You know, yeah, little chocolate chips, man. That's good. My man is coming through right now. You know,
what up, Casper?
We got a full house, man. You know, kids is in the room playing, and it's beautiful weather, man. You know, definitely top down weather for me anyway. I don't look for any reason to put the top down, you know. But that was it, man. You know, just enjoying life, fellas. You know, hope everybody's week is as good as mine, man.
Yeah, Kelvin, how was your week, brother?
It was great. It was great. A couple things. First of all, Rod is not the only one on vacation. I'm out here at the lovely Coney Island. You know what I'm saying? Vacationing myself. Second of all, my Jets. You know, I got my jet gear on.
They drafted well. They drafted well.
My Jets are doing well. So, you know, things are turning. But I have some very, very exciting news. Let's chop it up. Well, now starting this June 6th, we will be on Wednesday nights going forward. So we want everybody to join us. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be very, very exciting. So that's the big news of the day. Excuse me, I'm sorry, June 2nd. So June 2nd is going to be our first show on Wednesday. June 2nd, please make sure you all join us. And we'll be starting at 9 o'clock and we'll go on to 11. So it's a little later, but it's a different time slot. We know people are opening back up and things. So your Saturday night may be a little different, but we got you all week.
Yep. Hey, listen, I can't wait to go to Wednesday night. My Saturday right now, what's going on with my house right now? I need Wednesday night. It's off the hook. But my week was cool, man. Hey, man, I got a colonoscopy this week, man. I had to go check on the shitter, man. I had to check on the shitter. So everything working out. But I advise more brothers. I know it was a brother on, I think, ABC. He worked for Disney, ABC, and ESPN. He just passed away from colon cancer and stuff like that. So I advise all brothers to go get checked. I got my first one done at 42. It's crazy, guys think you won't be awake when they do it. You know, we want to make sure that we make sure we're in the best health for our loved ones and everything.
No doubt, no question.
People need us here, man. People need us here, man. So let's go to the chopping block. First thing up on the chopping block is our brother Dr. Umar Johnson. It was on the Breakfast Club. He said some really enlightening things to me about with Joe Biden's speech and how things are, and with black people, like they owe us for him being our president. And I think in the speech for me, I do not think Joe Biden at all addressed any of our top issues that we want to face. Like I know, you know. So what do you guys thoughts on that?
I mean, did you expect him to really? You know what I mean? Like that's my thing with him. He's a politician. He said what he had to say to get elected. You know, Joe Biden was like the, you know, I probably shouldn't say it like this, but he was like the, he was the ugly chick, man, at the end of the night at the party. You know? Like, you know, he trying to go home or something, you know, and it was like, you know, was he even really the least ugly chick? You know what I mean? It was like, you know, honestly, you know, so, you know, we shouldn't really be surprised that anything happened, man. You know, he was never, you know, top. I never had any great expectations of him. You know, he just wasn't Trump. You know what I mean? And at that point, we just needed to change, man. So, you know, for me, it's par for the course, man. I'm just waiting to see what Kamala does, man. You know, and see where she leads us.
Okay, well, you know what? I think Biden was a tourniquet, right? Man, I think he was just there to kind of stop the bleeding for Trump. Be that as it may, though, it is time out for everybody just exploiting us. Honestly, I mean, we need to at one point be put on the forefront. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, I think we're always forced to compromise. We're always forced to settle. We need to be number one on the agenda, regardless of who it affects or who it hurts. You know, unapologetically. Sometimes people need to make sure that they can kind of, you know, give us credit for the things that we've done. We're very loyal. We're very supportive. And so because of that, I think we need to make sure that we get our fair share whenever it comes to some type of legislation or anything like that. Oh, so he's better than the brothers in Coney Island.
Oh, yeah. You see what's happening, right? You see what's happening?
Yeah, I see exactly what's happening.
Yeah, Rod, can you hear us?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, brother. Go ahead and live the life, brother.
Ryan living like white folks. He got the whole white background like in a Puffy video.
He's trying to disrespect us.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, oh my God, I can't even tell you what just happened to me that kept me from coming on this show, man. I was fighting to get on there. It's crazy, but I'm here and I'm just glad to be here.
Cool. So we talking about what Dr. Umar Johnson said about Joe Biden.
Hold on. Let me apologize to all the viewers too. I'm just sorry for the delay, guys. But I'm here. Go ahead, D. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Dr. Umar Johnson, when he came on the Breakfast Club and what he said about Joe Biden, like, you know, they didn't address no issues. Like, you got to think about this. In the first 1 week, Asian people said, "Stop hating on us, stop beating on us," and they got their legislation passed. We've been here for 400 years getting our asses whipped and everything like that, and that we have nothing to show from this new administration. Is going to be a new change. Like, what are your thoughts on it, Rod?
Well, you know, I've had this conversation with you before, D. Like, America has us conditioned a certain way, so they feel like, hey, if we don't do right by them, what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you know, me and Kelvin always had this conversation about the dollar. Until we start controlling the dollar and not spending our money in certain places and shutting a lot of these corporations down financially, then you're not going to get truly hurt. They know we're going to still vote Democratic no matter what. And because, like I always say, it's the least, you know, we vote for the least racist candidate that we know, or the guy that's not going to do us, who's going to do us the least. That's really how I see it.
Going to do us the least.
Yeah. But the thing is, when they get into office, it's always going to be a different story. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. It showed right there how quickly, you know, Asians basically they got help right away. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look how long we've been doing with stuff.
Yeah. And this is the thing. Like, I produced a jam. We try to stay, like, you know, free college, the 2-year college thing. And I think that's not for everybody. Everybody's not built to go to college, for one thing, right? Yeah. And then you say, you get a start for the 2 years. Okay, so you go to school for 2 years, you get it for free. Have y'all looked at how much tuition is right now for schools? I think the minimum I seen was like $35,000. For really, like, I'm talking about, like, you know what I'm saying? So you talking about let's split the baby and go with $50,000, right? So you go to school for 2 years, now you're $100,000 in debt. Now, if it have been, the thing that would have been cool was, hold on. Sorry, okay, can you hear me? I'm sorry. Back. I thought it was me with background. So with that, sorry, man. It's hard for me to talk. I'm sorry about that, Jamie. I know you're getting on me. It's hard for me to talk at the same time with the noise in the back. But you know, with that said, like, so you're still having people start off with debt of $100,000. I think it would have been addressed for the black community. If you're talking about, like, small black businesses loans and stuff like that, housing stuff, where it could have been like low interest rates for 30 years for black folks that could get stuff like that to build wealth and economics in our communities. That would have been dope to me.
Yeah. You know? College. Sometimes I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but, you know, sometimes to me, college is overrated. I tell people that's young, and I've had these conversations with my two oldest when they were going to school, you know, don't get caught up in these student loans, because we know that this is somewhat of a trap. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to school for something that's not going to be able to make you a lot of money to pay back those student loans right away. You know, you're going to school for a sociology degree. Guess what? You owe $100K. Guess what? You get ready to get stuck. You're probably going to be able to not get a job making more than $50,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be paying that debt forever, which also holds you back. Now you get bad credit. You're not going to be able to get a house, which is going to propel you into wealth. It's, if you're not going to school for something like finances, business, something with the stock market, or something that's going to gain you some wealth pretty quickly, to me, putting yourself in $100,000 worth of debt in student loans doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and to me, it's also supporting more to the white supremacy, because now you got there's no 2-year historical black colleges. So the money gonna go to another white college that's paying money for 2 years. So I don't see the benefits. I mean, like, it's still addressed nothing to black folks.
And then the thing is, too, when they do give you those student loans, that money doesn't touch your hand. It goes straight to the institution that you're going to school. You know what I'm saying? So those institutions are getting wealthy. It's not you. You owe $100,000, but you never touched $100,000.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, I see Raleigh said something like, she said, do you think that our new president won't represent what he preached? You know, Is that what we're talking about right now? You know, like, do we think that he's not going to represent what is it he's preaching? What is it? What is his actual stance at this point?
I mean, let's be realistic too. I mean, what has he been in there? 100 days? 100 days, 110 days, whatever it is. I mean, hey, when Trump went in there, they was like, hey, you just got in there, give him a chance, you know. But you know, you won't know. We won't know until those 4 years is up. You know what I'm saying? Time will tell. You know.
Listen. This is the way I look at it. Let's come to the reality of this. America's not coming to save us, and they never have. America's not going to ingratiate us. I mean, that's just the end. That's just basically what it is. They're not going to do anything for us. Anything we do, we're going to have to do it for ourselves. That's it. Correct. So we have to be a united front. There's not a president that they're going to elect that's going to have us first on the agenda. There's no governor. There's no mayor. There's no legislator. Nobody's going to have us first. So what we got to do is what other groups have done and take it by force. You do that obviously by uniting. Like Rod said, you got to make sure that dollar that you hold on it tight to that eagle grins to make sure that's just what it is. And then what happens is people will come to you and play ball. Not because they care about you, because they have no choice. And that's what we have to do. I don't ever look for a president to come and help us. I've never done that from the federal level. I never have. The question is, do we maximize what we have? Do we maximize the spending power that we have? And I think if we can start doing that, we can leverage situations. Other than that, there is nobody coming to try to help us. That's just the bottom line. And the people that do help us at times, a lot of them help us because it helps them. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Somebody will fight for somebody to make sure that hip hop can still go on, to make sure that people can still play basketball and stuff, to make money for major corporations and stuff. Outside of that, our well-being, I don't think people have our interest at heart across the board. That's just what it's been. Every single generation that I can think of, going my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, all of them have a struggle and story about oppression. And here I am in 2021, still have the same struggle, still have the same story, still black men being killed unarmed, hasn't stopped. So at the end of the day, what we got to do is make sure that we take care of ourselves in this regard.
And you're always going to have that. You're always going to have that experience unless something radical changes. You have to understand that we would have to tear this whole thing down. Racism is like the legs of a table. Racism is one of the legs on that table. It holds up this whole country. You know what I mean? It's what it's based on. You know what I mean? Just from slavery alone. All right. And what do you think is going to happen unless there's some massive like revolution that just upsets the whole, apple cart, man? It takes us back down to zero, which nobody, let's be honest, nobody really wants. All right. We're just going to have to deal with the system that we have and try to move within that system. Nobody's talking about tearing it down. We're talking about getting our fair share within the things that we've already built. We built this country. We want our fair share. We want our, we want our place. But unfortunately, when this country was being built, we were on our way, when our place was always designated. We were always pushed towards a certain rung on the economic ladder, and that was part of the formula. It's like it's kind of like the secret sauce or whatever. The secret is it's like new Coke or something, old Coke or whatever. It's a formula. It's an ingredient in the country, and we have to figure something else out, man.
Yeah. And
okay,
also,
so there's a question at the bottom about the statement I made, I guess, about holding the dollar. So this is my point. What I believe we have to do is this. What we do is we spend money in other communities. And I think a lot of times when we I've seen a young black man go and spend $10,000 on some rims, but not on a computer. You could take that $10,000 and maybe leverage it and buy a business or start something or buy some property or do something in your own community. And ultimately what you do is, if you do that, then you can hire your own. If you do that, then you can build up things in your own community. If you do that, then you can pool your money and buy your own rim shop and start selling it to people and things like that. What we've done historically is we've been very good at making other people rich. So what I'm saying is, if we take some of that stuff and we keep it in-house. I've seen people do this. And I know people hate when I give the example. I've seen a Jewish person say, I will support another Jewish person's business even if I don't like them. I'm doing it because they're Jewish, not because I like them. And so at the end of the day, I think if we can kind of follow that model, I think it helps. Now, one of my friends hates when I compare it to other communities, but I'm saying you don't have to reinvent the wheel. What you could do is you can kind of follow the blueprint that someone else put forward. That's the way I look at it.
I agree with you on that. So
yeah, I just want to say one more thing with Kelvin. I agree 100% with what he just said. The thing is, we as the black community, we've been structured too much to be the consumer and the employee. You know
doubt.
what I mean?
No doubt.
That's the number one problem. We have to stop thinking like a consumer. And then when we are a consumer, like you said before on one of the other shows, Kelvin, you watch where you spend your dollar. You know what I mean? If you know somebody ain't for us, then you know what? You don't give them your money. That's it. Period. In a nutshell. The thing is too, as a Black community, and we're the number one consumer. How are we not business people? We have immediate access to the number one consumer by being Black. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm trying to tell you about how America has us. They have us in a position where, like I said, we're not trying to get leverage or realizing the position that we actually are in. We're not using it. You know what I mean? And the two people understand that, we're not going to be able to take a top position.
Yeah. Right. So with that said, right, Kamala Harris and Uncle Tim Scott, I ain't calling Tom, right? So I said Uncle Tim Scott, both said America is not racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Now, before I chime in,
is he serious?
He is. He was serious. I watched that speech, that rebuttal that he did after the Biden speech, and Tim Scott. It didn't surprise me. Tim Scott looked like a nervous slave when he was doing that. When he was doing that.
It was racism from the beginning. How they used him, the only black.
And at the end of the speech, I really expected him to look over and say, "How I do, boss?" You know what I'm saying? That Tim Scott is the epitome of a sellout. You know what I'm saying? He's the epitome of Uncle Tom. You know what I mean? He's going to do whatever they tell him to do. They need his Black skin right now, and they're going to use him for it. And that's the bottom line. You know, Tim's got to do whatever they tell him to do.
He occupies that same space as Candace Owens, man, and all the other so-called Black conservatives. You know, it is their lane, man. You know, if they came out and they actually fought for their people, we would act, you know, and actually spoke with some sense of discernment of reality, they would be a dime a dozen, you know. But instead, they take something like, you know, they just kind of come with this psychotic outlook, you know, and they just take things all the way to the extreme. Just come on now. You have no sense of history, you know.
No, Derek, but I don't think that's it. It makes sense. It makes sense. No elected official is going to stand up there and call this country racist if they want to get reelected by these bases. Kamala Harris ain't going to do it.
Especially Kamala Harris, because you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, if the country's so racist, then how did you get elected on your ballot? You know
no. Worse than that, Rod. What they're going to say is, 3 years from now, when you want to run for president, we can't have a president that wants to say that this country's racist. So that's why.
And you know what they're going to do? If she said it was racist, they're going to take that and use it as a soundbite and use it against her when she's campaigning.
There you go. So what I'm saying is this: if you really, really care about making change for people, and you really want to be honest, then politics may not be your lane.
Correct.
It just may not be your lane. In other words, you have to say what people want to hear and what they want you to say. Now the question is, what is your price? Like, I could truly look at one thing I give to D. I don't care what you get offered D $1 million. D is not going to sell out his people, and it's just not who he is. He's not built like that, and you respect that. Then there's 30 people behind D that be like, I'll take that check, and that's just what it is. And so that's the thing. That's why I never, ever, when I was younger, my father was like, oh, I think you should run for politics. I would never run for politics because there's certain people that I wouldn't want to represent. There's certain things that I just fundamentally disagree with. So I know I couldn't. In the moment you say that, you know, I thought about this one time, and this is a little off, but I remember many years ago, I was trying to get a job with American Airlines, right? And they brought us in this big boardroom, right? So we're in this big boardroom, and the lady asked, the interviewer asked, we interviewed 12 people at one time. She said, I want to go around the room and tell me why you want to work for American Airlines. What is so special about our airline? So people are like, oh, from the time I could walk, American Airlines was just my dream, and this, that, and third. I was like, because they hiring. If Delta was hiring, I'd be over there right now. And I realized at that moment, I lost that job at that moment for telling the truth, thinking I was going to get credit for that. You don't want to hear the truth. What they want to hear is what they want you to say. And if you are not willing to do that, then you're so Kamala Harris knows she can't say that. Now it's foul. But Kamala Harris is like, look, I'm halfway there. I'm VP. If I want to take the V off of this joint, then I'm gonna say exactly what they say.
But let me ask you something now. Dr. Umar made, if people get a chance, check out the Breakfast Club interview with Dr. Umar. He made some valid points, like she's a face that's safe enough to appease the Asian population. Was Asia is getting about to surpass the United States. Well, we know in population, we know about economics, how how Asia's grown so big, and India. And so was having her on the ticket was a safe place, because like you just said, she can't say something. She know how the world is going. You know, it was some BS to me from the beginning. And what you just said earlier, Kelvin, about politics. Now people always ask me, do you want to get into politics, stuff like that? No, I'd rather be a community activist. I'd rather be helping organize the people, because politics, one thing I got to check it past. My shit probably worse than Trump. However,
that's why I don't do it either.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't. I can't lie. Like, I wear my truth so hard. I know it will piss people off. I would just say what the heck is on my mind. If you tell me I could run for the president of Rockaway Boulevard, yeah, I'm gonna run for president of Rockaway Boulevard. I speak their language, but for the whole America, nah. Like you said, Kelvin, certain people I just couldn't represent. I just could not do it.
Absolutely. And you got to make that. You have to. And I think what happens is, I think genuinely there's some people that get into politics and they literally think that they can make a difference. Once you get in, you become part of the process. See, I've heard this my entire life. I'm going to go to DC. I'm going to check this out, Rod. I've heard this my whole life. I'm going to go to DC and I'm going to change Washington, DC. I'm going to change what. When you get to DC is going to change you. In other words, it is DC. It's like somebody saying, "I'm gonna go to hell and I'm gonna cool it off there." It's just not going to work. That's what the place means.
I saw it with Obama, man. I saw it with Obama. I feel like I saw it with Obama. You know,
I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true. I think
give me your point.
When they start getting into politics, you already know what politics are about. You're really chasing politics for two things: for money and for power. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, when he's telling you, he or she is telling you that I'm gonna go to Washington and change, that's just because he wants your support. He knows he's got to tell the people what they want to hear. The thing is, politics is a filthy game. It's a filthy game. That's why you just said D can't get into it, because he's not gonna buckle. But if he got into politics and went up in there being honest, they're going to be on his case. He's going to have hell every day.
Yeah, they're gonna
reform.
I agree.
Perfect example. Me and D had a guy, remember such and such, that used to go to the barbershop, and he was into politics. It turns out he was dirtier than the freaking than the mechanic's floor.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
He got locked up by the feds.
Correct. But the thing is, when was in the barbershop,
did his brother get locked?
What?
He got froze.
Say again.
Okay. Oh man, I want to hear what Kelvin wants to say, but go ahead, Rob.
This brother would be in the barbershop, you know, telling the brothers what they want to hear, and this is what we got to do in the community or whatever. And like I said, dirtier than the mechanic's floor. You know what I'm saying? He went into that game. That's not something that changed him when he got in there. He went in there knowing what the game was.
Yeah. See, if I got into politics, I'm trying to throw white women at me. I ain't with it. But no, I think somebody just brought the Candace Owens. So Candace Owens feels that the verdict was a wrong verdict for our brother out there in the Eric Chauvin trial with George Floyd. And Jamie, can you play the video for the people?
Candace Owens, you'd think in a country like ours, this is the most first world country that's ever been. You'd think the most civilized and the most just. Here you have to consider a murder case through the lens of politics. When you get to that point, haven't you already given up civilization?
Well, that's correct. And what we're really seeing is mob justice. And that's really what happened with this entire trial. This was not a trial about George Floyd or Derik Chauvin. This was a trial about whether the media was powerful enough to create a simulation and decide upon a narrative absent any facts. Whether it was powerful enough to repeat showing and talking about a 9-minute clip that came from somebody's cell phone without adding any context, without showing the full, the full police video, which they could have released. They refused to release the full body cam, which would have added more clarity to the fact that the media was was lying. The media came out. Let's not forget this, Tucker. The media came out and told us that this was a man who was just getting his life together. He was a good member of society, and he got mixed up because a racist white police officer had it out for him and killed him. All of that fell apart. All of the facts came out and all of that fell apart. But nobody cares because the media was successful in putting out a narrative, and they kept hitting that narrative. And the reason why the Democrats are happy is because they realize, of course, the media supports them, and now means the Democrats can get whatever they want because they can create a narrative, and then they can treat people like pawns and get them to basically say, if we don't get what we want, we will riot, we will loot, we will send these people out like soldiers to destroy your neighborhoods. And that is exactly what has happened. That has been the determination of this trial. The media and the Democrats now have enough power to bully and to lie to and to create propaganda and to successfully win. And that is what happened. And they are celebrating that win today.
Anybody thoughts?
Man, I'm trying to figure out what footage they're showing while she's going off. You know what I mean? Like some riot or something. But I mean, she's real extra. You know what I mean? The whole thing was just real extra. I mean, listen, Candace Owens, again, that's her lane. That's her lane. You don't expect her to do anything different, to say anything different. They just try to get everyone agitated and riled up. You can see, just look at what they're showing, man. I mean, I don't know. I can't give them more than 5 minutes of my consciousness, man, at a time.
You gotta pay close attention to what Candace Owens is doing. It's very slick, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to get fooled. Okay. When you watch her interview, when she's talking about this topic, she keeps using that word mob justice, right?
Right.
So what she keeps spewing it over and over and over. So what she's doing is she's creating a talking point for the right and people that follow the right. Now, she's talking about the video camera of the cops was never shown. First of all, it wasn't publicly shown, but it was shown to the jury during the trial. That's number one. But the thing is, she focuses on this. Only thing that they took into consideration was this video that was taken by someone's phone. That video from that phone was extremely relevant. We watched a officer put his knee on a man's neck for over 9 minutes till he died. See, she's trying to get you to not think about the facts and ignore what you saw. And they use Candace Owens for her black skin. So when the white America hears it, they go, look, a black woman is saying this, so it must be true. And that's what they use Candace Owens for. It's sad that all this education that Candace Owens has, and this is what she decides to use her education for. It's really sad, in my opinion.
Okay, first of all, can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, first of all, I feel bad that I'm in America. D got better Wi-Fi than me. He's abroad. That's the first thing. Rod. Secondly, this is the thing. I, for the first time watching this clip, because we had people don't know, obviously, we had a big debate about whether we were going to talk about Candace Owens, because D and I feel like we can't stand the ground that Candace Owens walks on, right? But I get it. This is the thing. I, for the first time, have empathy for Candace Owens. Candace Owens is a white woman trapped in black skin. And from the time she was a kid, she sat there one night praying, why have I been punished? What can I do? I want to be able to be a white woman. And I know some of the little white girls said, look, you can never be like us. We're better than you. What you can do is serve us, however. If you can get a white husband and you can go against all black issues. That's what you can do, Candace. And she has tried to fulfill that promise in the hope that one day she'll get vitiligo and be able to be a white woman, but it hasn't happened. So this is her cross to bear. So Candace Owens feels the closest thing I could do is get a white husband and dispute every single thing of that black people have fought for. And I know her arch enemy, Dr. King and Malcolm X, she can't stand those people. At the end of the day, I just think it's really, really sad, because I would respect it if she was objective. She's never even objective. No, and that's the thing. Even, you know what I'm saying? Even if you just feel like, let's say you always just feel like every shooting is justified. If you always feel like every black person should be criminalized, it's never objective. And that's the thing. So to me, to Dee's point, she's a one-trick pony. I can tell you right now, a year from now, something is going to happen to a black person. And I want to just give you the advance. Candace Owens thinks it was justified.
Right.
Right.
But Candace Owens used to be a Democrat.
I've heard.
And she used to be on campus talking about black social issues.
And that makes it even worse.
What I think happened, Candace Owens realized getting a check from the right was bigger than getting a check from the left.
Yes, because
that's what it came down to. And that's why Candace Owens changed sides.
But everybody forgets the one thing. When they are done with you, it is a wrap. I don't know why everybody just does not realize the formula. Ask Stacey Dash. I don't care what it is.
Amorosa.
There you go. There you go. Once they're done with you, it is a wrap. You're just a rental. Okay. Correct. You can never buy. You will never get the mortgage. You are not going to be white. It's a wrap.
Yeah. Kelvin, say your saying that you say about the shelf life.
What? Which one?
You say when black people do this, their shelf life is very short on this.
No doubt.
It's coming to an end. It's going to come to an end.
Here's coming the spoiled milk. It's a wrap. Check the date.
I was think with Candace, it's just the hypocritical talk because when you say they kept using the word mob, we witnessed on January 6th a real mob.
Right.
That was a mob. So you have people upset and people have protests in the streets before, but nobody has come. I think way back in the day they attacked the Capitol, but this was a mob. We saw white terrorism, and I wish you would call it white terrorism once and for all. But that's another subject. Candace Owens, same old trick.
And pay attention to the topics that Candace Owens only talks about. It's only about vilifying a black man. When the right do some criminal stuff or somebody's being investigated or we have riots at the Capitol, Candace Owens is nowhere to be found. They only pull her out when they need to talk about a black man.
Candace Owens has one gear. That's it. She got one gear, and that's the one she's using all the time. That's when they pull her out. They know what they're going to get from her, and that's it, man. You know.
So So 8 officers of color were barred, and since we talking about George Floyd, were barred from even securing Eric Chauvin. They removed him. I think they suing him. I'm not sure that something like that. They might be suing or having.
Yeah, they weren't police officers. They were correctional officers.
Correctional officers. Correctional officers were removed from watching him. I've seen this done before in other trials with officers before over the years in other high price, any kind of racial issues. They always move something like they always attack the black correction officers and move them out whatever the dorm setting or whatever it is, or tier, whatever jail that is that he's in. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
I'll say this. The playbook doesn't change. I mean, it's amazing. The thing that gets me about racism, it doesn't dissipate. It doesn't dissipate. It is the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Every single cartoon, the Coyote loses every single time. No matter what, people that do something against our community, they get preferential treatment. Man is guilty or he's on trial. He's going to be protected. That's just the way it is. That's just the reality of it. And it's just, it is so redundant that it's almost laughable at this point, And so have you ever been surprised? I mean, literally, is there anything that can happen to this community negatively that's a surprise? Nothing. The only shocking, there you go. The only shocking thing is if someone does something beneficial. To the point, if they do something beneficial, you don't trust it.
Blatantly beneficial, specifically for your benefit. I mean, you don't trust it. You would expect there to be an ulterior motive, and it's sad. You know what I mean? This guy, come on, man. It would be laughable if it wasn't so sad. And like you said, nobody said, "Oh, you surprised?" "Oh, you been surprised?" So that's just kind of where we are with it right now. I'm tired of it. Everybody's tired. What you gonna do, man? This is just, we got to figure something out. I don't know what the answer is, but what kind of pressure needs to be put on. But we got to figure something out, man. And I at this point, I wonder if they just do it for purpose, just to job, just to get my hackles up or something. All of us collectively. I don't know.
Well, with that said, Jamie, can you bring us to our first break?
I'm Dawn Kelly, daughter of Joan Kelly, granddaughter of Margaret Ackerman, and founder and CEO of The Nourish Spot. I'm a native New Yorker, born in Harlem and raised in Queens. The community connects to the Nourish Spot through a number of ways, one of which is through my family's 60 years of long-standing roots in this community. My grandfather purchased the first home in our family here in Jamaica. We connect to the community through our employees. We have a number of young black and brown men and women that mask up and glove up to come to work every day so that we can assemble customized fruits and vegetables into what customers want. And so I'm really happy that we have such a great team, and I thank them every day for their dedication and fortitude. COVID-19 has caused a lot of small businesses like myself to close. And so we're very happy that what we've been able to do is pivot. And so instead of allowing individuals to walk into our store, we have set up a QR code, we've set up a curbside pickup, and we have a heavier reliance on our food delivery service at partners. So in my opinion, resilience means, taking challenges by the horn, if you will, and kind of wrangling them and navigating them in order to continue, in our case, serving the community. The Nourish Spot is all in Queens.
Welcome back from the break. Oh, man, Roger, you changed up his location there?
Yeah, no, I just shifted it so I could get some more light,
Oh, you gotta show that light skin off. I see you, man. I see you out there. Word up, man. Word up. Yeah, so, since it's so funny, since Rod is in Mexico, we had two sisters go down to Mexico, to Tijuana, Mexico, to get plastic surgery, some body enhancements. But one of the sisters got on her way back. When she got back, died from her surgery. She had internal bleeding, and I know we had Dr. Bell on there before and Dr. B on us about plastic surgery. So I feel bad for the sisters, but we gotta be careful when we go to these other countries and have these procedures done on us, because there's a lot of stuff people don't understand. Certain things like a BBL, I think it is called, like you can have internal bleeding and stuff like that. It was very risky surgery. I feel bad for the sisters, but you guys' thoughts on that?
Yes.
Yo, are they going to Mexico because it's cheaper?
Yes, more affordable.
Okay. Sometimes you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah, and the other sister got sick too, but she survived.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Same situation that took Kanye's mother out of here, man. Anytime I think about that kind of stuff, man, that's what I think about. I think about him losing his mother and losing his mind shortly after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a shame, man. It's amazing what the pressure we put on women. With regard to appearance and everything and looks. Living up to the standards here. To the point that they put themselves under the knife and potentially in harm's way, just for an aesthetic, man. It's interesting and it's sad, but when it works, it works. It looks good and all of that, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I could. Maybe it's my privilege as a man to say, oh, I couldn't do it, because I don't feel the same pressures, but it's kind of spooky to me, man.
I would get it done to get my sexy back, but I'll do it in America. I gotta get some of this man fat off me, man.
Well, I think one of the things, man, is today with the social media stuff. I used to listen to people. I think someone was on the radio one time talking about it, and a lady was saying, she was like, she's just really, really trying to compete with younger women. She said, because if she doesn't do it, they're gonna do it. And I think Derik, and I think all the men on this panel are very careful not to say something offensive to women regarding it. I'll just say there's nothing worth your health. And to me, if your looks come in between your physical health, then it's just not worth it. I mean, I think all of us like to look a certain way, but you got to count up the cost. I mean, you got to look at risk reward. And, you know, you don't, when you leave this country, you don't have certain protections and things like that that you would need, especially, you know, as far as the medical community is concerned. And so I hate to see it. Now, a person who wants to just go and change their physical appearance is no longer alive. And there's just no way. And I just think, you know, you guys are fathers. I think it's very, very important how you build up the esteem of a child, especially little girls, that they know you are beautiful inside and out, regardless of how you look.
Yeah. And somebody said that women put pressure on themselves. I mean, I think so, especially with social media really like changed up the game, and women comparing themselves to other women, and I feel bad. And dudes too. I mean, we seen Funk Master Flex go get it done. You know, he got some work done. And I'm not against people getting work. I'm all for people make whatever you want to do to make yourself happy. That's fine. But I just think you should do it in the most secure way you possibly can. That's all. Like board certified type of stuff, hospitals, countries where they speak the same language you do.
Yeah, man. I would say that's one of those things that you can do on a budget, man. If you're counting your ones like that, man, I think you probably need to leave it alone. You know, you set aside some time, set aside some resources, and get it done the proper way. If you can't do it like that, you know, with the best person available, you know what I mean? Don't get it on the cheap. I just can't see it. It's just surgery is not something like that should be taken like any kind of surgery, but especially something like that when people obviously can die from it, man. You know, you gotta, you gotta take care of stuff.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yo, shout out to my man, Red Riley. I'm glad you're watching the show, brother. Thank you. But I noticed this. First of all, let me clear up something. I'm not in Mexico getting any surgery. That's not what I'm doing. But I know people saying it's too much of a coincidence, right? They say Rod might be getting some hair implants or something. But nah, the thing is, from what I understand, there's a lot of doctors that have been barred from the United States and lost their license in the United States, and they come to Mexico because the laws are different, and they set up these practices and they start doing these surgeries. And like you got to understand something, ladies. If the surgery is $5,000-$8,000 in America, and a guy tell you can do it for $1,500, I think you need to be a little bit concerned about that. You know what I'm saying? That it's entirely too cheap. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he already is right. Women have to stop putting so much pressure on themselves to try to look like other women. You know what I mean? And look at like women on these fans only page and stuff like that. They got to stop putting that pressure on themselves.
I want to tell you something. I actually had a chance to listen to some young ladies. These young ladies happen to be teenage girls. They happen to be white, and I just say that because they just happen to be white, whether you know. And no, I'm just saying because and these kids were like from a like an affluent community like Garden City, and I'm listening to them, and they're all like in 10th and 11th grade. And one girl was like, yeah, my parents won't let me go get breast implants until my first year of college. And I'm not going to get mine until whatever. I'm going to try to get mine when I'm 17. I'm going to try. And I was like, that's a thing now. Like, I didn't realize how serious it was that's really a thing. It's almost like going to get your driver's license. To the fact that you have just come to the realization you're going to have some type of elective surgery just to change your look. And I mean, I think it's frightening because to me, there is nothing more beautiful than the natural body. Whatever came in the box, whatever came, how you came here, to me, there's something beautiful about that. You know what I'm saying?
And another thing, at 18, 19, the body is still not fully developed. You don't even know how you're going to turn out, but you're already planning on getting plastic surgery.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. We go back to the silicone days. Remember, they was leaking and stuff like that, and people were getting sick because of that. I mean, it's just frightening, man. It really is. But rest in peace to the sister. But I hope that helps save some other lives.
Derik said it's badass kids. People can see us. We have a private chat and people can't see those. But Rod, tell the people the truth. You down there trying to take over El Chapo's operation. That's what
listen, don't be snitching, D. Don't be snitching. Don't worry, I'm just trying to change my life. That's all.
Listen, I think the menthol. I think they're telling them to take the menthol out the cigarettes. I mean, listen, man. I don't know if there's gonna be some angry motherfuckers around here, man.
They really trying to stop people from smoking now, man.
You know, the funny thing is, they'll take the menthol out of them, but they damn sure ain't gonna stop selling them. Damn sure ain't gonna start something. And the thing is, like in this day and time, like when I see somebody that just starts smoking, I'm like, dude, where have you been? You don't realize. You look at them and go, dude, do you realize all the research that's been on cigarettes and that? Guess what, guy? It causes cancer. You shouldn't be smoking. You know, I don't understand how in this day and time somebody can start smoking cigarettes.
I don't get it.
You ever told the girl that smokes cigarettes? Yo, what's up?
No,
hey,
I
baby,
won't talk.
Come to bed. I'm wearing something. Nah, man, you can go. You can go.
Yo, have you ever kissed a girl after she smoked a cigarette?
Oh hell yeah, that's the worst thing ever, man. It's like licking an ashtray.
Yeah, it's like licking an ashtray. Yeah.
Can't do it, bro.
I didn't know where you was going with that, D. I was like, that was close.
This is a very racial situation, though, don't you think, man? They taking like the menthol out that directly affects black people, man. Shit, you know, we want our opportunity to get our cancer and have our bites on too, you know, don't we? Shit, you know. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
they got some dry ass camels now, you know.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Miko and Nikki. We saw your questions up there. We just had to move on. Sorry about that. We didn't get to that question. Sorry. But yeah, man. So yeah, I don't know. The cigarette thing is just bugged out. Like, will the price go down when the menthol comes out or what?
I'd probably go up.
Right. Yeah, act like menthol was part of his cigarette.
Yeah.
We took it out. Now it costs extra. Right.
Yeah, another $2 extra.
Yeah. So. Recent on Love and Hip Hop, it was a good question. This came up. I think this kind of deal. I want to see what you guys' thoughts on this. On Love and Hip Hop, in DC, and what's the other sister? His wife's name?
Yandy.
Yandy. So it was a question posed to him because you remember DC did a bid, a federal bid, because I think it was some heroin charge, some kind of charges, whatever. He did some time, and his wife wrote it out with him for a long time through his whole sentencing. The question was posed to him: would you do the same? And he said he couldn't think he would do that.
Yo, he was being honest. He was being honest. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people say, yo, how dare he? But hey, the dude was being straight up. He said it ain't in him, and that's not who he is. You know what I'm saying? I respect guys when they tell the truth about who they are. And I listen to them.
You know? But the thing, couldn't he just wait until like on the camera for the world to see? So but I was like, listen, baby, on the show I'm saying, but when we get home, like, baby, I don't know if I could did that. Yeah, why? Yeah. Like now you put him in a situation like, damn. Now
you want me to tell you why, D?
Go ahead, Kelvin. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Because he's a native. That's why. No, I'm just into speculation. That's why I cannot help it. Just can't help it.
I'm not saying I agree with what he said. It's just that I'm telling you I respect him because he was honest. It took a lot of courage to say that about your wife right there, and he was honest. Now, I mean, she held him down. You would think that he would probably say, yo, this is a good chick. She held me down for the umpteen amount of months or years I did. But, I mean, he was just being honest. He's just being straight up.
Yeah,
right. But they say want honesty, right?
So she better not go to jail because she already knows time.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe she'll act right. I don't
know. You know that,
And Miko's right. You're absolutely right. You don't see too many men at the visiting thing, and that's so true. Right. I mean, but listen, he had to follow behind Pat Poose. Now, Pat Poose held it thorough. He tried to go get the keys and everything, try to get his woman out. Yeah. I know that was Pat Poose was on a different level, man. He was trying to get his woman out. So I don't know. He looked bad, bro, when I holding it down like that. Compared to Pat Poose. Pat Poose wrote out 8 hard years, man. That's like, I don't know, man.
But that's how Pat Poose was built. He's a loyal dude. You know what I'm saying? He was being who he was. Like I said.
Okay, so let's end the speculation. Everybody on this call, or you fine gentlemen.
I knew it was coming. I knew this was coming.
You all with very, very beautiful women who love you dearly and dedicated. Do you think you could do it in 8 years, brother?
I would have to. My wife has done too much for me and stood by me for too much stuff. I have to. Me and my wife have built a lot of things together. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and anybody, like I said, if for me to go on and try to rock with somebody, I would only be constantly comparing her to them to her. You know what I'm saying? So. Right. Now, I would hold my wife down for 8. I'm not just saying that just because you're on the show and I'm on the spot. That's God's honest truth.
I love that.
It's wife, not wifey, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, wifey is all good, but it's wife. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you believe anything about yourself, you got any character. Well, I believe I have character, and I don't just say things willy nilly. You know, when I got married, that, you know, better or worse, death do us part, man. That's real. You know what I mean? And that's the worst part right there. You know, that's going to jail like that for 8 years. That's squarely, you know, that's squarely under the worst. You know what I mean? So, you know, you gotta hang that. You gotta hang with that, man. That's it. You gotta ride, man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you right now, she going for 8 years, leave me with all these badass kids. I'm gonna be mad when she get back.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be real mad when she get
back. Be like, yo, these kids was driving me crazy.
Listen, I could do it because I did it with my homies, I did it with my cousins, and you know, I could do that, man. It's just like, if you got, like Rod said, you got somebody that's gonna hold you down, ride with you. You gotta ride it out with them. I don't even know how many years man DC was in there for, but you know, Papoose could do it. So listen, Papoose set the bar very high. So it was like, you know.
See, okay, since we're gonna be straight up, right? When you realize, you know, your wife do 8 years, your woman do 8 years, you're not gonna be getting none for 8 years. That's gonna be tough.
No.
I think that's the biggest issue. Nobody gonna miss the arguments. So
no,
this is when the good side chicks come back.
But maybe what that's what DC meant that he couldn't hold it down. He wasn't gonna be able to go that long without getting some. You know what I'm saying?
Nikki's right, D. Nikki's right, D.
But like I said, Nikki, when you care for somebody, and people know how I am, it's a total different. But Nikki, y'all know how I am. With somebody that's I love and dear for me, I'm gonna be there no matter what. So like it's not like, but like I said, those good side chicks will come and play. Every few years doing that law, it was an 8-year bid. Like every 2 years.
Hey man, 8 years. I'm not doing a bid. She's not doing a bid. We doing a bid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We gotta do
it. And to be honest with you, if she's in jail for 8 years, it's probably because she won't tell on me.
Probably right? Yeah.
Because she won't tell on me.
Let's take into account what landed there in the first place.
Yeah, what landed there. Yeah.
I guarantee you wasn't no mess. You know, no fucking.
I got another question for you guys, right? In the news, I saw, right? It was a military dude. He was married to this woman. They got divorced. She won $900 a month in child support from the husband. He moved on and wound up getting another woman that wound up making $1 million a year salary. Started living a better life, you know, better house, better car, better lifestyle. But he's still in the military. He pays his child support every month. Everybody knows people in the military. The military forces you to pay child support, and you will be paying that joint on time, right? So his ex-wife thinks
police department too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the ex-wife thinks she's entitled to more money because he's living a better lifestyle. She was jealous.
I got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love.
That's not the way it works, sweetheart. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works.
I hate to say it, but that is kind of the way it will work if she can work if she goes to jail. It depends on the decision of the judge. You know what I'm saying? So you know, and how they, you know, and how they, you know, rate their money, put their money together.
Okay, I know y'all don't understand why Derik said
that. But you know what though? It's an equation, bro. It's not about like common sense. You know what I mean? It's just,
no. We're talking about Derik. We're talking about straight up. If there's agreed upon child support, and then the other person gets with someone else, and they start having a better lifestyle, they shouldn't renegotiate the terms of that child support, because if the guy loses his job or something, he's still responsible for it. So if he does better, he shouldn't be. So I think the two stories just ran. I think he was thinking about it a little bit.
Yeah. The thing is, they want to increase the child support, Derik, based on his wife's new salary. The wife, he married up. He basically married up. She makes $1 million or whatever, and he's still paying the $900 a month. Me personally, it don't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, if he made the money, then she can go back to court and say, hey, he's making $1 million a year now. You know, the kids, whatever. That's the way it works. But not because you're going to marry a chick that's making a lot of money, then now all of a sudden she's going to pay your child.
Exactly, because if he wound up being lower in life, he can't say, could you reduce it? They're not going to do that.
They don't even reduce it. Yeah, they don't even reduce it.
So it's got to be equal, because I heard one guy, he was paying child support, and he was like, if I pay all that, I ain't gonna have money for me. The judge was like, you better get a second job, and that's what it is.
That's right. They say that's the answer. Get another job.
Nikki M is telling you, depends on the state's family laws. I'm telling you that there is a chance.
We're talking about New York. I'm thinking about New York.
Right. Well,
that ain't happening in New York.
I thought Derik said something about jail. I didn't know y'all.
No, not jail. No, not jail. No, I'm talking about child support. I'm talking about child support. Like, that is a formula. You know what I mean? Child support is not. It's not about. We're not talking about custody. That's a formula. You get in front of the judge and they say, okay, how much do you make? Well, I'm married now. Okay, fine. Do you file taxes together? I don't. If they do, and I'm not, a counselor or anything, but I'm assuming. But I remember when I was going through my time. You know what I mean? That that was one of the things. You know what I mean? Listen, there was a chance that that could be factored in.
But
now I don't know.
I think that's only factored in, Derik, when you file together and you're in the arrears and you owe money. Then they can take your wife's tax return because you owe money. But I don't think just because your wife makes more money and you already was in paying $900 child support before you got with her, they can't raise her child support because she makes money. I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's going to work.
Well, I do know that there's leeway there. Yeah, divorced women purposely watch their ex-military spouse salary for promotion and such. You're not surprised at the antics. Yeah, the antics. Yeah. We understand the antics.
It's a business. It's a business move for her. That's all it is.
Yeah, we understand that. I'm speaking to whether or not it's doable. You know what I mean, or if it will stand. I just know that it's one of the most impersonal, nonsensical things that you can go to court for. You know what I mean? It does not. Child support doesn't care about intentions or loyalties or anything like that, or even discernment. It's just a formula, and however in laws and however that gets put together, you put in the number and the number comes out, and then within that range, the judge can use some leeway after that. But that's what that's I don't know what you're saying it doesn't work. I don't know. I can't speak any better to it, but I just remember
when it comes to the formula, it's 17%.
Right,
it's
for one child.
25% for 2 kids, 29% for 3 kids, and then after that, the judge determines after that if you have more than 3 children with one. Now it gets even crazy. If you got more than one baby mother, then it gets a little different. It gets a little tricky. But if you got 3 kids from the all same child's mom or whatever, 29% any child with that same mom, then the judge is based on what the judge will determine. You know what I'm saying? But that's the basic formula. 17, 25, 29.
Right. So, without, and I guess we're speaking on this without actually knowing how they file taxes and what their real financial situation is in regard to how to keep their money. You know what I mean? But
but I'm pretty sure they only can do that is if he's in the rears, and they say he's behind like 19 payments, and then they file together. Yeah, they could take his and her tax return as a result of that.
Yeah, that happened to one of our friends. I'll tell you about that later on. But one of our handicapped friends, it happened to him.
Right. This was an adjustment. This would be.
I've seen it happen to a lot of dudes. You know what I'm saying?
This would be an adjustment, though. You know what I mean? She's talking about an adjustment.
Yeah.
But the question is, did she get it? We don't know.
We don't know. But gentlemen, we have a guest tonight. Special guest tonight is I would say our sister, Miss Andrea James. She's the executive director of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, which launched the Free Her campaign seeking clemency for 100 women within Biden's first 100 days. She said that these women should be granted clemency because they have served enough time for their convictions. Jamie, can you bring in our dear sister, Andrea James?
Hey, Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
How you doing, sister?
Hi, hey. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's great. How are you?
Everybody's good.
I'm doing Andrea, okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. We're alive, sister. That's the best thing. So being alive is great through these times, right? So, sister, can you give people the backstory of how you was incarcerated, and then we're gonna get to the meat of things. Because this sister got a lot to bring us tonight.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Damon, for inviting me on to talk about the issue of women in incarceration, the importance of ending incarceration of women and girls in the country. It was a spirited conversation. We could have added a lot of input to your last topic that y'all. But it was interesting to hear your responses to all of that. But we started organizing ourselves. The work that ultimately led to the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls started in a federal prison that I was in 2010. I was a former trial lawyer, former criminal defense and real estate conveyance lawyer who was sentenced to serve a 2-year federal prison sentence for wire fraud. I went to prison. I'm from Roxbury, Massachusetts, where I still live. I'm sitting in a house that my family, it's a predominantly African-American community. My family's lived in this house for 5 generations. Very proud of that. We stayed in this community. And most of this community, the corridor, we sit in the most incarcerated corridor in the Commonwealth, in the state of Massachusetts. It's the Black community from Nubian Square to the Franklin Hill, Franklin Field housing development. And so we're acutely aware of incarceration. And I was, prior to going to prison, grew up wanting to be a lawyer because, and to be a criminal defense lawyer, which I did become because of all of the disruption that the criminal legal system caused the community and my neighbors and my family and so forth. And so that's pretty much my background. I mean, my grandmother broke the color barrier for nursing for Black nurses here in Boston. My uncle was the first Black tenured law professor at UCLA. My aunt was the first female lead pediatrician in LA County. And so we come from a lot of firsts. My parents are researchers of people of African diaspora. And so we were raised up to do this work long before I became incarcerated. But with all of this whole alchemy of all of these personal and professional experiences from standing in courtrooms for years here in Massachusetts, defending Black people in this racist criminal legal system that has absolutely no legitimacy to it. It has grown out of a system of slavery. And it's just been iterations of that have brought us to where we are today. But walking into that prison as a former trial lawyer, former criminal defense attorney, former real estate conveyance lawyer. It was real estate conveyance that got me in trouble, that landed me on a prison bunk. Walking into that prison, though, crammed full, federal prison in Connecticut. There's no federal prisons here in Massachusetts for women. I had to go 2 states away, separated from my husband, same thing y'all were just talking about, separated from my children. At the time, I had 2 young adult daughters, who one was in college, one was out of college. I had my baby girl, who at the time that I went to prison in 2010 was only 12. She just graduated from Spelman College. And
congratulations.
Go Black Cows, baby.
Thank you. And then I just had my baby boy, who's 11 years old now. But by the time I walked into that prison, when the system had separated me from my children, my son was only 6 months old. And so to walk into that prison, but I'm not the poster woman. I had privilege. I had resources. I had resources to come home to. I had a husband who brought my children to see me every single visit, never missed a visit to that prison. Got up at 4 o'clock in the morning with those kids, raised our brand new baby boy by himself. And so, yeah, shout out to him. He knows what it's like. You know, he was down for 10 himself early, in the 90s. And so understanding acutely what that meant and the importance of making that happen. And the sister who made a comment during your last one was right. Women's prisons, visiting rooms are empty. They're empty. The sisters, the babies, the baby mamas, the mothers, the aunties, the grandmothers, we're all standing in line around the corner to get into the prisons and the jails to bring, our children and to comfort and to console and to support the men in our lives, our family, our husbands, our sons, our brothers, our uncles, our fathers. The same does not ring true for women who are currently incarcerated. But anyway, I walked into that prison and it was crammed full of Black women serving federal drug sentences, but not only for direct, hand to hand, or I'm in this, I'm in this drug group or whatever.
Taking a package or something like that. Yeah.
These sisters were mostly serving federal drug conspiracy convictions, which we have to understand is catch-all. Back in the day, like when my husband went in and all that, literally in every city across this country, in black neighborhoods, U.S. attorneys, the federal system, they had 50 and 60 co-defendant cases. It's outrageous. 50 and 60 co-defendant drug cases. And they caught everybody up in this net with this thing called conspiracy. And so when I walked into the prison, that's what I experienced. It broke my heart. I knew all this. I live in one of the most incarcerated communities in the country, entangled in the criminal legal system. I was a criminal defense attorney. I'm married to a man who went through that whole thing. And you don't understand it until you're in it and you see it with your own eyes.
What would you say is the biggest disparity between men being incarcerated and women being incarcerated? I think across the board, it looks like we're always vilified when we are, there's this idea that people are just no good to society. It's almost like you wear a scarlet letter. But what is the main difference between the two groups? Because I think technically people used to say it was to rehabilitate. It doesn't look like that. But what are the biggest differences between a men's prison and a women's prison?
Well, I know. I mean, it's a good question, except that I know that the sisters inside, for the most part, we have our same issues inside. There's violence inside of women's prisons. There's disruption. But for the most part, sisters are trying to help each other get through that experience. 85%, unlike in men's prisons, not that men aren't fathers, they are fathers. My husband's the salt of the earth, and a better father than I was ever a good mother, even when he was inside. But the point that I'm trying to say is that the fact of the matter is 85% of currently incarcerated women are mothers, and they were the primary caretakers of their children prior to incarceration. So whether brothers were good fathers, present in the lives, but maybe they just didn't live with, the babies were living with their mamas or whatever. The fact of the matter is that we as women were the primary caretakers. The children lived in the households with us for the most part. So starting there, when you think about those kind of statistics, you're talking about women would literally fall out. They would be mopping floors because, we run the prisons, right? The people inside, men, women, we run the prisons. We're the labor of the prisons. Women would be mopping floors. They would be cleaning toilets. They would be in the chow hall. They would be on their bunk at 3:00 in the morning. And you would just hear a sister trying to muffle the sounds of her desperation, her tears, her sobs, because she cannot breathe another moment without being able to reach out, to hold her children, to love her children, to tell them. And when we go to prison, the things that happen to our children, we're the last defense for them. When we go to, they label women all as bad mothers, right? And so we go to prison, we're just bad. We're bad women. Everything's messed up about us. There's no good. We're just inherently bad because we were women who wound up in prison. Right. Yeah. And so you've got to take all of that into consideration. And so the difference in a women's prison is that for the most part, and even if we weren't mothers during our incarceration, we're women, we're Black women that I'm speaking on behalf of. And we were caring for somebody. We have been the backbone, even in this uptick of mass incarceration, we're the backbone that carried our communities and took care of our communities and took care of our men and could care of the children that were left behind, when throughout this entire quote unquote drug war, right? And long before we became the fastest incarceration population in the country, we were still holding our communities together as they took our men away. And so in a women's prison, you've got all of this. Women are caretakers, and in a women's prison, for the most part, regardless of, if you got a gambling debt or something, or you got a beef because, you're in a relationship with somebody who's in the prison, relationships and debt are the two things in a women's prison that really cause, disruption, interpersonal stuff. Okay.
You curse on it, Andrew. We
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That caused that kind of
Andrea.
shit. Yes, sir.
Andrew, you can curse on this motherfucker. You can curse.
Curse and keep your teeth white.
That's right. That's true. So, so women, for the most part, women would just have. What makes this system even more criminal when you think about it, because we were the primary caretakers of our children. To get as a woman, as a mother who's incarcerated, you literally have to put your children on a shelf in order to get through the everyday grind of just, getting through prison and day after day, which is like Groundhog fucking Day. It's like every day is just a different dumb ass day, right? With no substance to it, no value to it, nothing that helps a woman heal and advance her life. You're just on a prison bump. So the difference, I think, for the most part, is that in general, the women, we're not divided so much by race. The men's prisons you go into, and you got all that, skinheads, the all of those different groups. We're women trying to get through that experience. A lot of us were mothers. We were just trying to support each other, to get to the other side of that, so that we could get home and get back to the business of caring for our families.
Andrew, when you and I talked about this, the first 100 days, when you and I, before Biden came up there, we was both sitting by the TV trying to wait to see what he's going to say about women incarceration and stuff like that. Can you tell us your thoughts after the speech and the kind of conversations you had with anybody that can probably help in your cause?
Well, we came out the gate swinging. We weren't just doing this during the Biden administration. We started this clemency work under President Obama, right? And so we were centered by President Obama's administration. Valerie Jarrett brought us into the White House a few times. We worked with the Obama administration in advocating on behalf of women in the federal system. We were trying to push out, because you don't hear shit about women. You would think that women don't even go to prison. When the conversation started to be had, even President Obama went to a men's prison. He didn't also say, let me go over there down the road and let me go to Aliceville. Let me, go to Dublin. Let me go to Danbury. Do any of that. It was just fine to just, say, I'm going to go to prison. So people don't even realize that women actually are in federal prison, and where numbers are a little bit smaller. And so we have to unapologetically use our voice on behalf of liberation of women and girls. And so we started this push. President Obama started the Clemency Project in 2014. And then came along this last president that we wouldn't ask him for shit. We were not going to do anything to legitimize the last president. We weren't going into the White House. We weren't shaking hands with nobody. We were not going to mislead our unpoliticized Black brothers and sisters about what this is. You are not going to try and cleanse yourself and legitimize yourself using criminal legal reform after you were an architect of it. So we weren't going to go there. And so we had to find other, more interesting, creative ways, which we did, to try and liberate people during the last administration, including during the pandemic, which we did. We have a whole legal team at the National Council. They filed motions led by Catherine Shevchenko, brilliant First Amendment lawyer. We did everything through the Justice Department without asking for clemency. What we did is we turned towards the states and started to build clemency campaigns in the individual states. But the 100 days, we said, when Biden did get the nod on his inauguration day, we said, okay, we're going to jump back in and we will work with this administration. We will ask this administration to release our sisters who are inside. And we put together a list of 100 women. 30 of these women are terminally ill. We now only have 99 women on this first round that we're fighting for, because we lost one of the terminally ill sisters 2 weeks ago.
Sorry,
you're right.
Sister.
This is the reality of this. 30 of our sisters on the 100 women list are terminally ill women. They're sick. They're very sick. They're in federal prison. They're going to die unless he takes the stroke of a pen and gets them out. Other sisters are like the sister who is our poster woman, Michelle West, who we've been fighting for over a decade to get her out of prison. She's facing her 30th year of incarceration on a drug beef, right? And so these are the women. They're survived and punished. They're elderly. They're sick. And they've been there for more than 10 damn years, all of them, and it's time for them to come home.
So any conversations you had recently with anybody at the White House? Any conversations?
Oh, yeah, we hadn't heard anything. We've been like trying to get on everything. We were so happy when you called. We've been trying to get in front of every media piece, everything that we could get in front of. Because we weren't getting any response from the White House. And then yesterday we did. we got a call. Day before yesterday, and yesterday we jumped on a call with senior legal counsel for the White House, and also Susan Rice, who was the former ambassador under Obama, but she's now, we still call her Madam Ambassador, as that was her highest rank, and she maintains that title. But Susan Rice is now leading the national domestic policy for President Biden, and so we were invited onto a phone call with her, along with FICPFM, the other original national organization of formerly incarcerated people and convicted people. And we got to really talk about the different issues, and we all brought a different one, and we brought, of course, clemency. And so we have hope. We have hope. And of course, these are just our first 100 women. We were instrumental in pushing over 50 women out during Obama's clemency project. And we want out the gate. And we also think that, listen, Biden, you've got to shift this false narrative, this bullshit that so many people, a lot of Black people with media presence, that's convinced our Black community that Trump did something meaningful on behalf of criminal justice reform for our people. He didn't.
Thank you.
He didn't. And I do this work every single day, deep. I was in the fight for First Step Act. Never crossed the line in support of it, because it carved out, the carve-outs were 2 pages that only affected Black people in the federal system. There are people right now who are sitting there, and then they lied. They everybody walking out of federal prison after they passed that bullshit piece of legislation, they attributed to First Step Act. You did 25 of your 28 years, brother, on your sentence. It was your turn to come home. You can't attribute. But that's the spin game that the Republicans play. That's the spin game carceral capitalists play, because that bill was a carceral capitalist bill, meaning if you were down with making money off the backs of Black people and incarceration, then that was a good deal for you. Let's get it passed. If you were about the liberation of our people, then it was all a game. It was all a game. And so we continue to push that, to try and correct that. We try and, educate and politicize our brothers and sisters in our communities, even our formerly incarcerated brothers and sisters who they indoctrinated into thinking that Trump was the savior of our people. And we just continue to do this work, but from an unapologetically pro-Black, politicized position.
So what are your thoughts on Kim Kardashian during the Trump administration? What do you, her celebrity?
Can we not even have that conversation? Because I'm not even, let me tell you something. The work that went into her paying attention to Alice Johnson, who we brought into law schools around this country, who we provided a platform for her voice to be heard under President Obama. We went into mourning when Alice Johnson was overlooked and fell through the cracks in the Obama administration, literally, because we traveled the country for years fighting on behalf of Alice Johnson and had the permission of the Justice Department and the BOP and President Obama to bring her voice into all of the symposiums and panels and law school discussions that we brought her into. Right. And so I don't want to go into it. I'm happy that Miss Johnson is free. Good for her. I encourage our people, if you are going to share your story as a formerly incarcerated person, which we need everybody to do to raise awareness in this country about what this is and how the current criminal legal system affects us, do that. You're an expert as somebody who's formerly incarcerated. If you choose to step outside of that, you damn well better be politicized, and you better understand the historical and political context of what got Black people to where we are today. And if you don't understand that, and you're only willing to carry water for somebody who writes you a check, or somebody who is going to say, we're going to bring you around Kim Kardashian and sell, underwear for her, or whatever the exploitation of our people that she has done, and that other Black media heads have done, I can't rock with you. You're misleading our people, and our people, nobody is coming to save us. Our people are in a dire situation right now. We need radical transformation within our communities, and we are not going to get it following this kind of, corporate capitalist pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm all for it. I came from billable hours. I was a lawyer. I understand what that is. But everybody is going to just step out of prison and pull themselves by their bootstraps. We need not just individual accountability. We need to change the structural racism and the underpinnings of the system. And when we only pay attention to those corporate capitalists who say just you can do anything as long as you make yourself better, you're ignoring the whole conversation we need to have, around the structural racism that's inherent in this system. And we can't do that.
Somebody want to ask your thoughts on Van Jones.
What about it?
I don't know. They said thoughts on Van Jones. I mean, him and Kim Kardashian. Go ahead,
him and Kardashian were working together on that prison reform bill.
Of course they are.
What's your personal opinion on Van Jones, though?
Look, I'm going to speak for myself.
Remember, you can curse on the show.
Listen, I'd love to have a conversation, and we've asked for a conversation with Van Jones. We work in an ecosystem together. There is an ecosystem called the criminal legal reform system and the abolition system. Okay, we're abolitionists. All right, for good reason. And that's a totally different conversation. Van has built his career creating organizations on top of organizations on top of organizations. He's not formally incarcerated. I have no idea if he's directly affected other than being a black man. And he was the same man that called President Trump the unifier in chief. Yep. He is the same man who was, listen, you can think and have whatever political ideology you want to have. But when you only provide an open door for people, for entities like the Koch brothers, the American Legislative Exchange Council, and if you don't know what that is, please Google it. Alec was the architect of mass incarceration, of voter disenfranchisement, of gutting of public schools, of polluting our neighborhoods where they're toxic dumping in black and brown communities around the country, and deregulation that put us into the downward spiral with the housing catastrophe that we experienced in this country, where so many of their working families lost their homes because of banking deregulation and environmental protection deregulation. Those are all things that these same people that he aligns himself with are doing, right? Jared Kushner, one of the worst landlords in the country, you know, controlling the living spaces of poor black people. And you are going to use criminal justice reform as an opportunity to try and wash yourselves and reshape yourself and legitimize yourself, because it's the one area that you can go into where people are so desperate to get free that they don't give a shit who frees them. Like Harriet Tubman used to say, I could have freed more people if they only knew they were slaves. Well, correct. We have to have that conversation, because if the Koch brothers claim now that they are so caring about our people, while there's still this billionaire network with Betsy DeVos and all these other of their cronies who Trump had in his downline in the White House, who are literally gutting public education, what they proposed under the Trump administration that would have eradicated after school for poor black children in places like New York City and Boston and you know where I live and across the country. You have to, and because Alec centered themselves as well, these are all people that he aligned himself with. And you're not allowed to try and whitewash and scrub yourself down using criminal justice reform on our backs and doing it without even hiring some accountability from them. If you're going to do it, at least come to the table and say sorry. Say, I'm sorry for the decade. We built a prison in this country from 1998 to 2006 every 10 days. Guess who was in it and still in it? Us. And you're going to...
Andrea, I'm sorry, Andrea. I just want to ask you this question. I'm concerned right now, as we are concerned about the well-being of women and the safety of women. my understanding is I visited the Rikers Island Women's Prison years ago, and the thing that caught my attention was there were young women in there who had gotten pregnant in jail. And so I've always been concerned about having male COs in charge of women, or having women kind of at their disposal, for lack of a better term. Is that a really prevalent issue? And are there any protections to kind of try to protect women while they're incarcerated?
The only way to protect women is to stop incarcerating them. There is just so many egregious incidents of sexual violence, sexual abuse. There's no consent in prison between women and anybody. Okay, there is none. And so that's a power dynamic that, you know, but there's not a women's prison in this country where male guards aren't sleeping and taking advantage of incarcerated women. And so it's one of the issues that we talk about. And, you know, 95% of us that have been incarcerated were also victims of sexual violence from, you know, at some point from young girls or somewhere in between, or as young women. You know, sexual violence, Black women in particular, are the least cared for, are the least held in high regard. Our Black girls are adultified, have go through this process of, we can't even, like the baby girl who was just gunned down and murdered by police, and now she keeps being described as a young woman. She was a baby. She was a 15-year-old girl. There's a book I used to keep on my shelf by Dr. Monique Morris that talks about the adultification of our Black girls. Our babies can't even go to school because the size of our bodies, or we develop a little early, or we're Black and we're girls, right? We can't even get recognized as worthy of being held and cared for and protected in our own communities by our own men and boys. So imagine now, you're in a prison with people who have full control over your body, your mind, your freedom. There isn't a prison in this country, dear brother, where women aren't being further exploited. Women who are already, most of the time, what landed them on a prison bunk was untreated sexual violence and abuse.
So Andrea, what can we do to keep women out of prison and girls out of prison? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we have a campaign that's going on in the country. It's not the 100 Women, 100 Days. It's just one leg of our campaign to end the incarceration of women and girls. And you can get on board with this campaign and you can help us. We're closing prisons for women and challenging these prisons and stopping new women's prisons from being built, but literally challenging these prisons to close. Starting in the smaller states where it's possible, where like in Massachusetts, we've got 135 women in our state prison. We got one of the New England states as a collective have the smallest lowest incarceration populations in the country. There's absolutely no reason why we should have 135 women in a prison. We need to reinvest that money away from policing, away from prisons, into communities where the people, all the zip codes are the same. Erica Dorr calls them $1 million blocks throughout our communities, throughout the country. We're in excess of $1 million a year, all through New York, all through Massachusetts, wherever Black and brown people live. In excess of $1 million a year on a single city block is spent cycling our people in and out of incarceration and the other pieces of the carceral state, fees, fines, parole, probation. Imagine if instead of building a prison every 10 days, we actually built housing. We actually built treatment. We actually built green spaces in our neighborhoods. You know, we built, all these other resources that we could be putting into it. You know, one of the things I couldn't read it went away too fast, was talking about being a person in the system, former foster care worker. Well, I got to tell you something. Tenants to understand the court's appearance. Right. So we have a coalition made up of more than 50 women who, while they were incarcerated, lost their children because we pay attention to repealing the 1994 Crime Act and saying, oh, we got to repeal the 1994 Crime Act that that Biden was responsible for, and so many other people. But we don't pay attention to the thing that has been most disrupted to Black women and our families. That's called the Adoption and Safe Families Act. The Adoption and Safe Families Act was passed under the same rubric of sentencing back in the 1994 Crime Act era that led us to becoming the most incarcerated country on the planet and the most incarcerated of Black people. And that Adoption and Safe Families Act permanently takes the rights, steals our children from us while we are incarcerated, because there's nothing in that. It's horrible across the board, but particularly for incarcerated women, Black, Latin, white, brown, whatever. They're all up against the Adoption and Safe Families Act. I was in federal prison. Sisters didn't know nothing about ASFA. And they were coming up with letters saying, what is this? They're telling me I lost my parental rights because their babies are in Houston or in, Chicago or in LA, or in Oakland. They're in a federal prison in Danbury, Connecticut, where I was, all the way on the other side of the damn country. And they had no idea that the time was ticking for the 2 years or the 18 months or whatever that threshold is, that if you are absent from your child's life, it triggers the state to begin its adoption proceedings. That's stealing. That's another slavery, which this system is just the latest iteration of slavery in this country. And so it's why we always say there is no legitimacy. We have to dismantle completely this criminal legal system and build not build a criminal legal system, build a system of healing. Build a system of healing. Because when we focus on healing, we stop the next baby from being killed. We stop the next person from being harmed. We stop the violence in our communities. That's what will create the real change we need to see.
So what do people need to do, on a local level? So what can they do? What should people do their first step to get involved in this cause and causes like this?
Well, we have a number of we have a hyperlocal organizing. We work from 3 pillars: policy. If you want to get involved, we have a number of things we're passing. We have racks of legislation that can turn things around. We're working on a number of things in that respect. Of course, we're working to push out women in state prisons as well as in the federal system through our clemency campaigns. We're passing decriminalized drug laws, primary caretaker, which means that there's a diversion for women and men. It's gender neutral, who are primary caretakers of their children, to stop that cycle. We know the astronomical percentage of children in the foster care system that wind up in prison. And so, there's all kinds of ways to get involved. You can give us money. We carry a lot. We do a lot. We help people when they come out. We set them up. We provide them with housing whenever we can. I mean, we just brought a brother home here in Massachusetts who did 43 years. They just walked him out the door. If it weren't for the community collective that is supporting him, he'd just be walking out the prison after 40 some odd years, with whatever coins he got in his pocket, so all of these things, we do mutual aid. We have the first direct cash disbursement project ever in the country that was started and led by us, formerly incarcerated women, that isn't run by a state or city government. We have a number of projects. We have hydroponic farms that we're placing in the heart of the most entangled communities around the country: Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Roxbury, Massachusetts, to bring fresh produce. We fight on the federal level. Do congressional hearings. We have a whole legal division that's filing motions and suing prisons because of the poor health care. There's a lot of ways that you can get involved. Just hit us up at info@thecouncil.us. Let us know you're interested. We'll find out what part of the country you're in. We'll let you know how you can help. We need a simple postcard you can drop in the mail to your state governor, because we got a clemency campaign going in every single state. Let your governor know, Governor, we expect you to use your clemency power. Respond to some of the applications for clemency that are filed with you. So there's lots of ways to help, but we work unapologetically to end incarceration of women and girls. We know that everything we do will affect our brothers as well. But when we don't fight for ourselves, just like the emptiness of the visiting rooms in prisons for women, the voices are hollow. They're empty when it comes to the liberation of women. And so we have to do our work.
But listen, sister, let us know how we do our part. Like, we're going to be there for you. I'm so happy that we met, you know, to our mutual friend Donna and everything like that. This is
Donna Hilton. Shout out to Donna Hilton.
Shout out to Donna Hilton. Yeah, man. And listen, and Trump banned her from coming to the White House.
Yeah.
So I know. So it's good, you know, there to go. And you said it right. Like, nah, we ain't doing this for 4 years. We good. We be all right. We be all right for 4 years. We'll just figure it out after that. But, you know. But shout out to your strength. Shout out to your husband. Shout out to your children. I mean, like, it takes a team. Yeah, he's like, listen, that brother right there, that's a soldier right there, man. So
that's right.
But listen, you know, anything else you want to promote? Like, let us know. Like, where can they find you? Anything going on in your life? Anything else?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Just, you know, info at the council. I can put it in the chat if I can. I don't know if I can do that. This is how you can find us. Where really, oh no, I don't know if I can do it or not, but yeah, there it goes. You know, just hit us up. You know, we are deep. There's lots of us. That's one thing. You want to incarcerate a whole lot of us? Well, guess what? The sisters have organized ourselves. You know, our leadership is our National Advisory Council. Donna Hilton is one of the leaders on that. We're deep and we're wide. And the sisters are not playing. And so we have organized ourselves. We have come together. Thank you, dear family. We have come together to build ourselves up as formerly incarcerated women and girls. We're building up our leadership and our young, and we are not playing, and we are unrelenting. So there's something for everybody that we can do. And please, brothers, help us. You know, help the sisters. I appreciate you, Damon, for amplifying our voice. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for calling along. Thank you for enlightening a lot of us. And thank you for being a voice to our sisters. We love you. We need y'all. And thank you for always supporting us through our roughest time. So we will be there for you. And just call me. And I know a lot of people. So just call me and I got you, baby.
I love you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Peace, sister. Wow. Oh, Kelvin upgraded, got his new house, everything upgrading, everything in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
My lighting is messed up in here. I got to change my position.
You want to be dark skinned, Rod. That's what it is, brother. Time to come to the other side, brother.
Listen, that was excellent, man. A lot of information there. The sister put it on, like, you don't realize how hard it is. And a lot of people don't know, it's not that many federal prisons. Like when she said you got sisters on the West Coast, the feds try to keep you like 450 miles or something like 500 miles of your family. But like my cousin had to do fair time. He got sent out to the West Coast here. So, you know, and then, like, you know, our dear friend Chicken Wing, he got sent out to Beaumont, Texas, where I didn't go visit him for a lot of years because it was just too far. So you know, imagine having sisters that have kids. And like, think our sister Serene that was on the show, she was chatting how many months before they come in the system. And like Andrea said, and to take your kids away from me. That is a form of slavery to me. That's a serious form of slavery. It's a sad state of affairs. You know?
Absolutely.
But it was good. It was a good conversation. Jamie, okay. Oh yeah, okay. Here we go. I was like, Jamie, where we at? What's the next topic there, brother? I was like, what's going on, man? My producer slipping for a minute there, man. So
let's talk about Brucey Jenner.
Brucey Jenner, yeah. Caitlyn Jenner is running for governor of California. So what do you guys thoughts? And then we also got then we got the verses coming up. But thoughts on Caitlyn first.
I feel like if I say anything, I'm going to compromise the sponsors. So I want to digress and let somebody else go first.
Well, listen, I mean, everybody has the right to run. I mean, Caitlyn, you know, he has the right to run. I thought isn't he like very, very conservative? I mean, I don't know how conservative
he's running. He's running as a Republican. He's running as a Republican.
Of all things, a Republican. Wow, interesting. I wonder how that's going to work.
His family's down with Trump, the Kardashians, and all of that. That
yeah. There's another big. But funny thing is, a lot of black people naturally conservative. We go to church, we do all that kind of stuff like that. But you know, like we teeter the line. You know, like you know, little conservative, but we go to the strip club. So you know, we're like right down the middle on that, man. You know.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really do not. The whole Caitlyn thing bothers me. I've always hated the publicity of it. I think that family is a machine. I think that family is a publicity machine. I was really, really offended when ESPN ESPYs gave him the award of courage or something like that, who had previously gone to people with cancer and things like that. I still think this is a privileged person. I still think this is a person that uses their fame to exploit topics and issues. I just don't like the concept of it. I really am not a Kardashian supporter. I've never watched the show. I don't care to. And I've always said in a couple of years when it's profitable, someone will pay him to change back to a male or whatever the case is, and I think he'll do it. I just think that's just what it is. And I think out of all of them, he was the one that got the least amount of attention, although he was the highly regarded Olympian. And I think this was the thing that kind of put him right back into the limelight and the spotlight. And I think he had taken advantage of that, as far as him changing his gender. And now it's a person I just don't really care for, and a person I really don't trust their motive. And it's not a knock on his choices. It's just who they are as a family. I just don't trust it. It just seems very, very publicity driven and self-serving to me. So I don't really know the political platform that Brucey is trying to take. I'm sorry.
Damn it, these words coming out of Rod in his mouth this time. See, y'all always get on me, man.
His name is Brucey. It was Brucey.
Can you remember when he was on the reading box? He was the biggest thing, man, anybody saw on two legs, man, when we were kids, man. I'm telling you. Remember that?
I'm gonna bring something to everybody's attention, right? Kelvin said that he was an Olympian. Brucey Jenner only won one gold medal, right?
Right.
How many did Carl Lewis win?
Well.
Okay, you see my point? You see where I'm getting ready to go with this?
Yeah.
Brucey Jenner won one gold medal in the decathlon. Nobody won more gold medals than Carlos. And they never got the publicity that Brucey Jenner got. Never got the endorsements. None of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we're going to leave it at that and leave the rest to everybody's imagination.
I'll be honest with you. And I actually think, Rod, I think Phelps is probably the most decorated Olympian now, the swimmer. Even he doesn't get kind of.
Well, I'm going to say Carl Lewis is the most decorated black Olympian.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just put that on there.
What I'm saying is this idea of, when you're running for politics, it's people's lives. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying. You need to really be dedicated. To me, if he did run for governor, then it'd be a bunch of cameras. It'll be integrated into that show or that platform or the social media. This family has become billionaires, multiple billionaires, off of just learning how to master the internet. And what I'm saying is,
dating black dick.
Okay, so I was trying to go. I want to tell everybody I was trying to go somewhere else. We bad for saying Brucey though.
There you go.
But no. At the end of the day, D, I get your point. It's just to me, when you're talking about people's lives, if you want to be a public servant, then there should be some credential for that. This idea of this whole, and I think Trump has really, really put it over the top. This whole just being famous to run for public office, it is still to advance your personal agenda. And so to me, I'm not for that. California has a lot of problems. California has a lot of trouble. There are a lot of issues that need to be worked out. And the question is this: what happened to qualifications? What happened to qualifications?
Trump showed everybody that anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what Trump showed everybody. This guy basically walked out of nowhere and became the president.
Well, Bloomberg started off first. Let's keep it a buck.
No, I'll go back to Reagan. He was an actor.
For president.
For governor. Think about it.
When did ignorance become a credential? That's what I want to know.
No, ignorance is very big now. Ignorance is the new shit now.
Well, social media kind of made ignorance popular.
Yeah, correct. Ignorance is hot right now.
Think how many people get popular off of ignorant, dumb stuff.
Dumb things. Yeah, look at all the challenges and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Nah, ignorance is in right now, man.
Well, I want to put a challenge out. What about the Stop Killing Unarmed Black People challenge? What about
they're not going to do that.
That's not right.
Give some resources to the Black Community Challenge.
Yeah.
What about those? Those don't never pick up steam, it seems like.
No.
You know? No, but I'm against it. I want you to have taken political science. I want you to know what you're talking about. I want you to be a person that is dedicated to that field versus just being popular, because these elections are just now glorified popularity contests. And to me, it's too much at stake for that.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, like ignorance is popular now. Trump won the presidency. That's proof. And the days of people having to be intelligent to occupy certain positions, I think that's not a thing now. It's basically who's popular, who has money, and who can use it as a publicity stunt. And that's what things are about today.
It's really about who yells loudest, and we have a very, very short attention span as people. I mean, you know, as a population, you know, this conversation we're having right now, something how to be, you know, come along the next day, you know. It's like we have AD and what is it, ADD or whatever, the ADHD or something like that.
ADHD.
Yeah, it's like mass ADHD, man. Whatever you call it, man. I can't. You know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So you always talk about native news, but these brothers here did something good, man. I don't really know who they are, but I'm gonna just mention so maybe the young audience will know. Thugger and Gunner took their coins to Fulton County Jail alongside lawyers and bondsmen to post bonds for 30 inmates. And I know Bloomberg and somebody else did something. LeBron James might have did something. Jay-Z and all of them got together. But that's something good we could talk about in our community. These brothers went down there, took their money instead of buying on a Rolex or some diamonds. They went down there and bailed some brothers out, and maybe some sisters. I don't even know they bailed some sisters out.
Or I think I commend them for that. You know what I'm saying? Because they took their money and they went and helped somebody out, and probably most of them brothers they didn't even know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me being from past law enforcement, I realized how many brothers and sisters are in jail with low bail and just don't have the money to get out. You know what I'm saying? You got people in jail for bail $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and they can't get out because they don't have the money. Their family doesn't have the money. You know what I'm saying?
And think about you said, Rob, $4,000 was just 10% of the bond. You have to
correct.
Put up
I was about to say that. It's less than whatever the amount is. But they don't have anybody that can put up collateral to go get a bail bondsman or whatever. And we're talking about a little bit of money, but it's a lot of money to certain people.
Oh, your son corrected us. It said it's Gunna and Young Thug. Okay. I put it to Jamie. Yeah, he's supposed to be studying right now. He almost be on vacation.
Nah, he's here with me.
I know. No, but hey, listen, Rob, you paying a lot of tuition, man. You got to be studying on vacation. I don't give a
damn. No, the thing is, let me tell you something. These badass kids is going remote while we on vacation. I don't care.
But as long as Young Thug and Gunna don't bail out Rudy Giuliani bitch ass, I'll be all right. Because he going to jail. You going to jail today?
Oh man.
I tell you the truth. Let me explain something, right? Giuliani is going to sing like a bird. I guarantee it. If he gets nailed with charges and those charges are heavy, Giuliani ain't built like that. Giuliani ain't built like that, and he ain't trying to spend his golden years in a box. Yeah. Giuliani is going to sing big time. Trust me.
Yeah. All the bones are buried, boy. Yeah. By the time he's done.
But he's long overdue, though. He's long overdue. Long overdue.
The thing is, I want to bring up a point. Giuliani was the mayor in New York City. He was supposed to be this crime fighter. Me personally, I thought he was one of the worst mayors in the city as far as the police department.
He got the most credit.
Yeah, he got the most credit. And we talked about on this show too, basically something like 9/11, anybody could have been the mayor at that time and basically been painted as a hero because there's a contingency plan that goes right into place when we have a disaster like that. You know what I'm saying? All he has to do is activate it and it just happens. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very interested to see if Giuliani's going to go. And the other thing that people don't notice, look in the background sometimes when you see Giuliani on a podium or he's doing an interview, the former police commissioner is behind Giuliani, Kerrick. You know what I'm saying? So just goes to show you the corruption that was back then that people weren't aware of. We got a former police commissioner running with Giuliani to this day who has been to jail, right?
Right.
And we have a former mayor who is now caught up in some serious corrupt politics. So it goes to this ain't something that's just started. This has been around a while back.
Because they overplayed it. Same thing with Carrot. Right. Carrot gonna be considered for the head of Homeland Security and try to go mess up with the federal background checks and got caught out there. And that's the same thing. Out there. So at the end of the day, if you're gonna be dirty, then you want to stay in the dirt and be discreet about it. No, they want to be up front and be whistleblowers for other people. Guess what? Same thing make you laugh, make you cry. That's what my grandfather used to say. So as a result, he's gonna learn. He is gonna learn. That's the truth.
And you know, Carrick basically became a police commissioner because he used to drive Giuliani. He had no qualifications to be the police commissioner at all.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, no, he was Giuliani's driver. He didn't achieve any rank higher than a detective, and he had no college education.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the Republicans put their people in. They don't play. They don't play. Man. I'm telling you.
Privilege. It's all about. There's a saying in the police department. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. So, guys, we know since we got a Mother's Day coming up, and they got a Mother's Day versus, I believe, coming up. SWV versus Escape. Who do you guys have in that one, man?
I know you just say Escape.
Yeah.
I know you. Never mind. See, you. I'm not gonna let the enemy use me, brother. I'm not gonna let the enemy use me.
Like Escape, do they have even a big catalog? They got a bigger catalog than SWV?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't know.
They don't, right?
Let's say do like stuff that Missy. There wasn't Missy in Escape.
No,
what?
I don't think so.
Was
Missy Elliott?
No, what's the Candy? The stuff Candy wrote. Maybe they feel like TLC stuff she wrote. I don't know.
Candy Boris was in Escape.
Yeah, she wrote a lot of joints for a lot of people, right?
And T.I.'s wife was in Escape, right?
Yeah, Kelvin, don't do it. It's only a few minutes left, Kelvin. Don't say
it. Back statement rebuke you.
Oh, okay. So let's say this. I'm going with SWV off the top. Off the top. I have to do that, you know. And
she thinks they have the same amount of hits.
That's what Tiger said. I don't know, man. He might be right because I don't really know that many SWV songs. So I'm thinking about it. What, 4, maybe 5?
I want to see Toni Braxton in there with somebody.
Who she back?
I don't know. I want to see Toni.
Mariah? No.
Nah, I don't think Toni. Mariah
has more hits than Toni Braxton.
Yeah, I don't think she went over Mariah. I'm trying to think who was in that lane.
Mm-hmm. I don't think nobody.
You know, Toni had a little run there. That Unbreak My Heart was a problem for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like Anita can't go up against Anita Baker.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Quietly, Rodney. I was thinking that, man. I was like, who would you put in there? Anita Baker, maybe, but.
But I think Anita Baker has too big of a catalog too.
Yeah. I think you're right, Rodney. I think Anita's catalog is.
I got one. All right, how's this? How does this work? Brandy Maya.
They already had it.
They did that already.
Between the two of them?
No, Brandy and
Monica. Oh yeah.
I never understood about them. Wow. They had a hit called "The Boy Is Mine," right? Mm-hmm. And remember, she said, "Excuse me, do I know you?" But in the video, they was living next door to each other. They was neighbors in the same. I'm like, yeah, you do know me. I'm right next door.
Yo, I got a question for y'all. How do y'all tell somebody to have bad breath or a body odor?
Oh, shit.
Very discreetly, and it depends who they are. Here they are.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Like, are we in the workplace? Because I used to work with a cop where his breath smelled like he had an elf in his mouth dancing with some shit on his shoes. You know what I'm saying? His breath smelled like fresh baked ass.
Oh man, not a tap dancing elf. I mean,
a tap dancing elf with shit on his shoes. That's what he
said. Imagery, man.
All right, let me tell you. One day, years ago.
Wait, let me finish this, Kelvin. I remember one time, right? A cop came behind the desk and told me they was on a job with him, and the complainant said, yo, I can't stand here and talk to you. Your breath is too fucking stink. A person on the street told him his breath was stink.
Y'all, I almost spit on this camera, man.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of jokes. There was a lot of jokes about his breath being stinking. You know.
All right. How do you handle this? So years ago, my father and I was at this restaurant, right? And the waiter, his waiter's there, this Asian dude, he's there, and he got a booger in his nose. And I'm not talking about one. I'm talking about a booger that was just, it was just out there advertising, right? And we were saying, if he bring this food back here and that booger is gone, we leaving. Like straight up. When he brings his food to the table, it better be right there. Because I'll tell you, that shit is going, we getting up more.
That's funny.
I don't got a problem telling somebody they got a booger in their nose. I just tell them. I just say, listen, wipe your nose. That's, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. I think that's
I just say, just wipe your nose, you know.
Body odor is a hard one, though. Body odor is hard.
The body odor is hard. The stink breath thing. Another thing, too, people with stink breath always want to stand close to you and talk. Why do they do that?
They always want to be in the face.
And if you take a step back, they take a step forward.
Let me holler. No. I'm hollering from afar. I can hear you where you at.
It's called hollering, man.
And imagine somebody with stink breath trying to tell you a secret. Like, want to whisper a secret to you. Your homeboy burn your eyelashes off.
Burn your ears, word, man.
Yeah.
I can't take the body odor. It's unnecessary. Let me tell you something. I went to South Africa one time, and I'm not gonna front. I'm sorry. The whole concept of deodorant just hasn't gotten there yet. And I'm telling you, the brother was next to me, and I could see it. I could see the food. It was a green mist. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to do a citizen's arrest. So I said, no, this is just wrong. We've been through too much as a people. And to be fair, I went to Israel, and the women, they believe something where it's like, we don't wear deodorant, we want our natural. But I'm gonna just tell everybody right now and keep it a buck. The natural scent is overrated. I'm gonna just be real with you. I'm sorry, the natural scent is overrated. I can't front. Woman was dressed.
I knew a female coworker that the summer on patrol was not very friendly to her because, you know, we have to wear vests. So that the vest keeps your body heat in, and those hot summer days out on patrol, they're no joke. And I mean, she smelled like a construction worker. I mean, no one used to tell her, but I used to remember getting other cops to say, listen, do not put me in the car with such and such today. You know, I'm telling you, people would come to the desk. I would have to leave her inside, man. Like, yeah, she had a strong body odor too.
Yeah, I can't take that. I can't take that. It is a double standard because when it comes to women, it's different.
Yeah.
What do women that don't shave, man? The Israeli women, they don't shave their armpits or something too, right? Did you see
I wanted her to take her armpits off, Derik. I'm telling
you. have them surgically removed.
That's right. Listen, brothers, man, with time about to spare. This is great, man. It's a great conversation. Shout out to our sister Andrea James again. Shout out to all the people that chatted in with us this week. And remember, like Kelvin said, June 2nd, we'll be switching to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. We're going to do the hump day talk now. So that's when we're switching up. We know it's summertime. Everybody's getting outside now. You know, Rod got the badass kids. Derik got them badass kids. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, they got to do things on the weekend.
Unfortunately, I might not be able to make the show next week due to my flight time.
Okay, it's all right. It's all right.
We're glad that you made it tonight, man. Go ahead and enjoy yourself.
I fought to get here with you, brothers, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
That's good, man.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself, Ron.
All right, I love y'all. I'm gonna sign off, y'all.
All right, peace, y'all. Peace.
Hey, y'all.